TGIF, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully your Friday's off to a banging start. We got ourselves a big NBA slate tonight to break down from a DFS perspective. Hopefully everybody was profitable last night. I wouldn't say it was very disappointing games last night. Like none of them were really entertaining. Like they all were like on the precipice of being blowout-y, but not close enough. And I don't know. It just was kind of a boring night of NBA.
Yeah, all games that left a lot to be desired. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, like I mean, DFS wise, I enjoyed it, but from just an NBA fan perspective, I've had better, more entertaining days, to say the least.
For shizzle.
Well, as you can tell by the front cover here, we're going to be talking about Spicy P in a little few moments. But before we do that, today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at Drafters. You guys have probably seen us do some videos. We've been talking about them a lot more over the last couple of weeks and been working really closely with them. And there's a lot of things I could tell you guys about why you should start playing on Drafters if you haven't already. But the biggest thing is 3 letters, F-U-N. It is fun. We've been playing a lot of these like longer snake drafts with our customers. I know the other day I ran a 8-person draft with 7 of our 5-pack customers, and we went like real deep on it. By the end of it, man, we were drafting guys that had no business being on DFS slates. And you can play it like that, or you can play more shallow drafts and just go heavy on your studs. I think the key thing, though, it is a good time. And one of the things I love about it is the auto late swap. So I had plans last night, and I did not catch the Dennis Schroeder news. So fortunately, I didn't have him in DK, but I had him in my drafters lineup, and they auto swap probably to Caruso. I didn't even look who it was able to come out on top of that one. Like the auto swap feature is really nice, especially with the modern NBA being the way that it is.
Gotta love that, man. I know that helped me out last night, too. So, yeah, props to them for having that feature, and I'm excited to do a draft later today.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do some draft later today. You want to come play with us? It's real simple, guys. You can see our names on there, Kazatron and M. Bellman 967. Friend request us. You can get on the friends list. If you're not playing yet, I also have a link down there to a Facebook group. It's just for drafters. Just ask for permission to join. I'll give you access. You can use our link to sign up or just use our promo code DFS5pack. I'll get you a free month to the DFS 5-pack if you sign up using this link and make your first deposit. Come have fun. It is a really, really fun website to play on. And another thing I like about it a lot is you don't all have the same player.
Yeah, I love that too. I'm excited to try to take your money later.
Sounds good for me, except you'll be giving it to me. Speaking of giving us money, guys, I got a great deal. We brought it up yesterday. A one-time $99 payment will give you the rest of the NBA season and the full season of MLB. The PayPal and Venmo addresses are below. Get access to all NBA and MLB only info for a one-time $99 payment for this year. It can be easily done right there. Day passes are up. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. And if you could do me a big old solid and click the thumbs up button, that would be much appreciated. So let's start talking about tonight's cash game lock. And let's go with Bill Hernangomez over here because he is going to be uber-duber chalk today. Reason being, Steven Adams is very, very unlikely to play. He came out as doubtful yesterday. Just take him at their word. Steven Adams is very unlikely to play today. So this is going to make chalk supreme for Hernangomez. So we've talked about a few of these guys lately. Some guys are good at real-life basketball. Some guys are good at DFS. Some guys are good at both. Hernangomez falls right into that category of not being a great real-life player, but actually a very good DFS player. When he gets minutes, he gives you points. He's aggressive. He's a solid rebounder. He's quick. He moves well out there. I know there's a lot of risk you might think of like playing him because he has the tendency to lose favor with the coach. Well, right now he's in favor. I find there to be a lot more risk in not playing him. If you start a cash lineup today, he should be like the first guy you put in there. And from a guy like you who plays only GPPs, like let's say you're running the 3-entry max tonight, what would be your plans for him? How many times you would play him?
Probably like try to use him 2 or 3, but more likely would use him like 3 out of 3 than any less than that. It also depends on what other value comes out. As of right now, though, assuming he's the starting center, I mean, it's hard to think he doesn't give you like at least 20 here. And at 3,900, you'll take that all day with upside for much more. I think you just kind of plug him in and move on.
It's one of those things like, it could be a nice ownership play. The flip side of that is if Hernangomez plays 30 minutes tonight, he probably gives you 30 points. You know what I mean? Like he is not a great NBA player, but he is a good DFS player. And then what happens to your lineup if you don't get your guy right?
The only case I could make for like fading him is not even like fading him himself. It's that it's a center, right? So if you love 2 high-priced centers, and you want to, spend up there and you like other value, I'm sure like Jokic and Embiid are going to outscore Hernan Gomez. But,
It's a good bet.
you're definitely playing with fire, no doubt.
Yeah, so I would lock him into cash games as literally the first guy on the day. The nice part about a guy like this in cash games, if he's terrible today, gets hurt, gets into foul trouble, you can still win. You can win with a 0 from Hernan Gomez because he's probably going to be like 85, 90% owned.
Agreed.
All right, next up, your GPP for the day, Anthony Edwards, the young man. He's still a little erratic, which is why you probably prefer him in the GPP mode, but he's really you're watching the game slow down for him. And we've seen some big games lately. There's no D'Angelo Russell. He's starting to show why he was the first pick.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this kid's got game. He's not bashful at all. He shoots a lot. He just had a really good game against this Toronto team. This is a game I like a lot. And at 6K, I think Edwards is just a really good look and gives you nice exposure with really high upside at what I expect to be pretty low ownership. Again, Toronto is a team that, I don't want to say like we go out of our way to pick on them, but they're missing a couple of their guys. They haven't been the same defensive team all year. I think this game is competitive. I expect Toronto to win this game, but Minnesota just won in Toronto. So all I care about is that it's competitive, and I'll give Minnesota the benefit of the doubt there. He's just got big time upside at this price point. Again, like you mentioned, the game is really starting to slow down for him. He's uber talented, and he's just, and I say this in baseball a lot, he's better than a 6K price tag player implies. Like eventually, I don't know if it'll be next week, next month, next year. He's going to be like an 8K player in my mind.
Toronto's on the tail end of a back-to-back. They're coming off 2 really good wins against my Bucks. So this sets up as kind of a defensive letdown spot for him as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, for shizzle.
All right, next up. Speaking of Toronto, cover boy, Spicy P, Pascal Siakam is one of our favorite mutual plays on the day. So one, it's Minnesota. I expect this game to be competitive. I expect it to be close. I expected, Spicy P to be out there for 4 quarters doing his normal thing. And a big thing to like about him, he's not a point guard, but without Kyle Lowry tonight, because he's unlikely to play, they do run a lot more of their offense through him. So I think it's like 3 games in a row now. He's at 5, 6 assists plus. I kind of expect a little bit more of that tonight. I think he's going to kind of walk into 22, 11, and 6, throw in a couple blocks and steals, good matchup, and just be a solid ho-hum play in any format you want to run him in.
Agreed. I mean, he looks real good in this spot. We've talked about, big men against Minnesota, how Minnesota gets their shot blocked. We just saw a guy in Sabonis have a massive upside game against this Timberwolves team, and I don't expect that from Siakam here, but man, I love him at 7,700. I think he's got one of the better floor stealing combinations on the slate. Just a great overall game environment for him with no Lowry. I can't get enough of Siakam here.
Yeah, he just seems like a set it and forget it type of play. He probably won't get you 80. He probably won't get you 20. If I had to project him out for points, it'd be like 47. You know what I mean? Like that's a nice score. You know what I mean? Like somewhere between 42 and 52.
I agree. I was going to say somewhere between 45 and 50, and I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility some of his shots just don't fall, but he's going to give you at least a solid floor player. Barring weird stuff like foul trouble, injuries, shooting, 2 of 15, which can happen to anybody any given day, but it's not a likely scenario.
No doubt.
All right, next up. So let's talk about some long shots of the day. I'm going to talk about Wendell Carter of the Chicago Bulls. And this is something that we had touched on yesterday when talking about DeMarcus Cousins and why, while watching the Rockets play against the 76ers, I was mad that I hadn't thought about this one step further. It had been playing, chess instead of checkers. When you're going up against Joel Embiid, arguably the greatest center in basketball right now, you need size, you need defense. Look who comes after Wendell Carter on the Bulls list. You got Felicio, Daniel Gafford, Luke Cornett. Those dudes are going to get schooled by Joel Embiid. Now, I'm not saying Wendell Carter will stop Joel Embiid because that's crazy talk. He will, however, at least try. You know what I mean? He'll at least be a decent-sized body out there, which they're going to need today because Joel Embiid is a force. Now, this does not make it a quote-unquote crush spot for Wendell Carter. In fact, I would say it's probably not even going to qualify as a good matchup because Philadelphia is better than Chicago. Joel Embiid's a premier defender and everything that goes along with it. I just like the idea that you're going to need to play Wendell Carter bigger minutes. In 30 minutes, Wendell Carter can put up a good DFS score against anybody. His price takes down to 5,200. He legitimately averages 28 points. He played 27 minutes last game after they said they were going to monitor his minutes very closely. I don't think there's any reason he couldn't play 30 today. I think he's going to be very low owned for GPP purposes. And I think there's a good chance like he could just meander into like 32, 33 DK points today at very low ownership.
Got to be encouraged by, DeMarcus Cousins and how Houston just played them. DeMarcus Cousins had his best game in what seems like years. And another guy that, worried about their minutes, Houston needed to play him. Kind of see a lot of parallels with that with Carter today. Carter's another guy. He's talented. He's another one of these big men that kind of just struggles to stay on the court. At 5,200, he's got good upside here, and he's also got a nice floor, assuming he plays those minutes, and I expect him to. It's a nice here.
Yeah, I like him better for GPPs. I know you guys know I dabble in the cash game side of things a little bit more than the GPP side of things. I don't know if I would trust him for a cash game. One, like you're going to have Hernan Gomez in your center spot already, so you have to be pretty damn picky on your utility spot is anyway. There's always risk in this one, right? Philly at home is a good team. Chicago is definitely better than they were the first couple games of the season, but they could get their butts kicked here. That's a risk. Carter getting into foul trouble trying to check Embiid's a risk. A big discrepancy enough to the point where they're not trying to force Wendell Carter into bigger minutes is a risk. However, if this game is semi-competitive, then I think Carter plays bigger minutes. And as a big man, you could just walk into DFS points.
No doubt about it.
All right, next up, you're going to talk about your boy Michael Porter Jr., who has had his struggles this year, but showed buying signs last time up.
His last monster game came against the same Cleveland team a couple weeks ago when Cleveland got rolled. He put up close to 40 in 20-some minutes. He finally looked good again a couple nights ago against the Wizards. And with Denver still shorthanded, I'll go right back here in a good spot against the Cavs. So he's doing a lot of things. His shot just hasn't been falling. He started to get hot late in that Washington game. He got into some bad second-half foul trouble. But we know that his upside is real here. He's the true long shot in every sense of the word. You're not going to trust anything about him ever. But if he gets going, his upside's massive at this price point, especially a game that you could see Denver getting up big and playing from in front. Could see Porter having the ball in his hands a little bit more tonight. I like him for his upside. I completely recognize that his floor is much lower than it should be, but his upside's real.
Also, like Jokic has to deal with Jared Allen defense tonight. Not saying that he won't ball because he's Jokic and he's better than Jared Allen, but maybe it's more, there's a little more resistance than normal when they got a good defender in there. So he dishes a little bit more. He gets it out to the other players like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Also, it is better for Denver long-term if Porter's playing better. And if his shot's falling early, you might want to feed the young man again. Jokic is a smart player. He's going to want to get Michael Porter some good looks early on if the ball's falling and get his confidence back up to where it needs to be.
No doubt about it.
All right, guys, best of luck today. Grab those MLB and NBA packages if you're interested. Sign up to play on Drafters because we'll be drafting later, and you are more than invited if you're playing.
Thanks, guys.